When you do get these photos back from your photographer, also consider if they are lower resolution, which is great for digital and web, then it's going to help to optimize your SEO in the process, but also keep your media library on your website much smaller with faster website loading speeds. So overall better user experience. So we're going to kick off today to talk all about picture perfect branding. You are in the right space to learn a little bit more today in regards to growing your business through brand photography, especially. And so if we have not had the opportunity to meet yet, hello, I am Christine Liu, and I am Prospology's resident design and website expert. So helping all of you freelance medical writers out there with your branding, including website design, marketing collateral, and more, and being able to support all the students in our Prospology community as well. As outside of Prospology, I do have my own business called CL Designs as well, where I am a freedom-focused entrepreneur myself, just like Sophie, and then also the host of the Brand Party podcast, where you can get accessible, free, fun, honest, and actionable tips that you can implement right away in your own journey as well. And so to set the stage a little bit as to why we are here today, Sophie and I had continued to see time and time again from various students as well that perhaps there is a lot of really great bios out there as you're doing throughout the training and support as part of the programming, but perhaps maybe only have one headshot or so to be able to work with. And so this way, it's created a lot of limitations, perhaps in terms of struggling with creating additional marketing assets for your website as one piece. Perhaps if you are looking to market on various platforms like LinkedIn or other social media channels as well. Perhaps there are some challenges around building out that website that are coming up as additional barriers in place as to where to put it, what to do with it, based on what you might even have available. And then it can feel like a struggle when there's only one to be able to play around with. Or on the other hand, students have also experienced some bits as well in regards to um, having their brand photo shoots end up with images that, have been taken, but not necessarily versatile enough to give them a brand library that can help establish and grow their businesses with longevity and professionalism. So then you ended up with wasted time, wasted money, and other resources in place as well. And so it's easier sometimes to be able to start over to try to utilize some of these images and be able to rework a few things in the process. So today we're going to be able to dive into a number of these topics as to why you need really compelling brand photography, choosing the right photographer as well, what things to look out for, as well as figuring out some logistics to plan ahead to make sure that you get what you need out of these pieces of brand photography and assets, but also how to actually apply this into your marketing bits, in particular with your website as well. So in regards to why you might be here as well, perhaps you are launching a new business and you don't have an array of professional photos of yourself to really set that tone and establish and maintain that personal brand with credibility. Or maybe you have had a brand photo shoot before in the past, but overall the aesthetic may have changed or it no longer reflects what you're currently looking to attract with your business and types of clients. Or third piece could be that you know the importance that visuals can do to help really humanize your brand, really build out that storytelling element, but also need a roadmap as to where to start and how to do it right. Then you're definitely in the right place. So I would love to take a quick moment here as well to, I'm going to post this poll here in just a minute. So feel free to answer as you are. So I'll read them out here too. Do you have a website and or social media presence? Have you ever done a photo shoot before? And how happy are you with the photos that you currently have? So I'll give you a minute here to answer in, and then we'll read out the results. Okay, about 30 seconds, and then I will read out the results to our poll here as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer. All right, so let's see. We have, do you have a website and or social media presence? So 80% of you said yes and 20% said no. The second question we had was, have you ever done a brand photo shoot before? 100% said no. So you're all definitely in the right place and are going to be so much more well prepared when you are ready for your photo shoot here. And then number three, how happy are you with the photos that you currently have? So 100% of you said that it could use some improvement. So appreciate you sharing vulnerably today as well, and putting that out there. You're definitely in the right place and very excited to dive into these topics today and to have like ample time for questions as well. So we'll head back to the presentation here. So our first introduction around why do you need a brand photo shoot? So the first piece is that it can help everything look a lot more aesthetically professional and credible off the top as well. Maybe you've come across your, searches for even something like, let's say, meal delivery services, or even, other pharmaceutical clinics in your industry, for example, as another one. Then oftentimes, how at first that first impression really does make a quick difference, and it's usually within a split of a second as well that people make these, and it's hard to come back from. And so being able to make sure that it benefits how you're putting your best foot forward off the top is going to be really compelling for your clients that are your or employers that are looking to hire you. So whether it's on your website that you're looking to market, whether it's LinkedIn, social posts, other marketing materials that you might have, whether it's a services sheet, what have you, then those are going to be all pieces that are going to have multiple touch points that could involve some of your photography pieces as well. So personal branding is definitely another big piece of that, and having the awareness really reached to the right people. So perhaps it's really crucial for you for self-promotion to have some of these assets through brand photography, especially if you are first starting out and looking to make these connections. It's always nice to put a face to the name, especially in this digital landscape now with a number of AI elements and bots out there. It's really nice to be able to put a face to the name, and make sure that you are also positioning yourself as that authority and thought leader in that space, but also that it adds this element of memorabilia to your brand as well. So the more memorable, the better. So though coming back to those first impressions, these visuals really do help set the tone. A second piece here, looking at gaining trust with your prospects. So in the world of AI, you do need to demonstrate that you are the real deal and not a bot. So, you might have seen a lot of this in even content writing itself, but even the visual side of storytelling will be really able to help complement your objectives with this as well. So, that absence of a photo can create a sense of mystery that may not necessarily lean so well to what you are looking to achieve in that sense, and may have some challenges or questioning on the person looking to hire you in a sense. And so a photo really does add that layer of authenticity and integrity right off the top, especially, and has that level of transparency that you might be looking for to build that trust and connection or emotional, bridge as well when you are looking to reach out to folks as well. So this way, whether you use it for LinkedIn profiles, to your headshots and bios, for other opportunities, to your website, which we'll go into a bit more detail today as well, then these are going to be great opportunities for you to add that authenticity meter as well. But another piece is, without professional photography, it may also lower the caliber of services on offer. So meaning perhaps like that we practice what we preach in a sense as well, right? So, sometimes what you pay is what you get in a sense. And so making sure that you are making your own brand stand out and really putting the care into it will help reflect these pieces of what's possible for your own clients when they do hire you too, that you're going to go that extra mile. And a third piece, looking at showcasing your own personality. It may feel saturated in a market perhaps, but you you are you, and as cheesy as it sounds, being able to have these photos and to showcase your values and personality traits and characteristics really is a great opportunity for you to present or display these to others in the process. And when you are looking for that overall aesthetic look and feel to your photos, it will really help to align with your own messaging and positioning that will actually attract your dream clients. So thinking about the overall aesthetic of it, whether you want something a bit more light and calming, perhaps when they first glance at it, maybe there's a lot more white space involved or light colors. Or if you want something a little bit punchier and, bold in a sense with that matches your personality, these are all things that may come into play to be able to best represent yourself and again, put your best foot forward as authentically as possible too. So these are visual cues that will help leave with a lasting impression on these prospects, especially help you encourage that repeat business because they really do love working with you time and time again beyond the results that you've created together, but also from an experiential and process point, it really does go such a long way. So another piece is to facilitate that element of connection. Photos can really help to humanize a lot of these experiences, whether you are looking to reach out to your prospects, leads, clients, interact with your brand. These are going to give you opportunities to make that initial bridge as well with these folks. And so people like when you are able to have a sense of knowing somebody without quite knowing them yet as well. It feels a lot more approachable and safe to reach out in a sense. And so this way, if they haven't quite met you, these photos may have a really great impression to be able to invite them and encourage them to reach out as well. So personal connections really do help to build that brand a lot more faster in the process to be able to become more relatable and foster those meaningful connections along the way. And so whether it's, working directly with the client or having referrals in place, I think this will help do a lot of the heavy lifting for you as you put out these marketing pieces too. So moving on to our second section here in terms of choosing the right photographer. This is going to be really key to give you some quick tips in terms of what to look out for. So first of all, you'll want to think about researching photographers in your area as well. So perhaps they are coming up on some Google searches. You can always reach out for local Facebook groups of creatives, perhaps as well. This is a great way to ask for referrals, especially for people who have worked with others in the past to get a sense of what their experience were like, to see some results of overall look and feel, perhaps that matches the style that you're going for. As well as looking for personal recommendations of friends who may have worked with others as well, or if you want to put in the Prospology community forum here, that's definitely available too, perhaps to ask around and see who have others worked with to see if you have a similar goal that you want to achieve in your area. But the second piece I would say is looking at reviewing their portfolio as well, just as others may look at yours, for example, on your own website and body of work. I would encourage you to do the same to find the right photographer too. And so looking at that, reviewing the photographer's portfolio, making sure to see if there is an alignment on your vision. So looking for that overall look and feel and matching your style and your brand aesthetic as well. So I think being able to go through some of these exercises of what type of emotional appeal do you want it to have? Do you want it to feel that light and airy embodiment, or do you want something a bit more bold, accented, hard-hitting perhaps? Then those are going to be very different aesthetics that you're looking for in these portfolios that you might be reviewing as well. The third piece I would say is to look out for an opportunity to chat with the photographer as well. So just like the photographs that you might end up getting, I think it's also a great opportunity to be able to build rapport to see if you like the overall feel of your photographer. What is that process like beyond the results that they are able to help you achieve as well? And see if you're actually compatible and working together throughout the process so that it's still really enjoyable for you. Because, I also acknowledge that photography it doesn't come necessarily natural for everyone either. It can be a vulnerable thing to show up and take some photos as well. So being able to feel comfortable with your photographer is going to be really key. And to have an opportunity to do so before booking that shoot will be really helpful. And then another key resource that I would encourage you to look at, even as part of the Prospology programming here too, we asked you to create that vision board. And so being able to have a mood board in particular to showcase that overall look and feel again, this is going to be a great visual resource for you to convey your thoughts in terms of what type of lighting do you like, perhaps if you like something more of a natural approach, or if you prefer kind of more of an artificial lighting in studio setting. These are going to be, again, very different look and feels, or if you have particular styling that you would love to incorporate, whether it's for brand aesthetics, posing ideas that feel maybe either much more calm and collected or organic, opposed to something much more structured and powerful. Those are going to be very different, as well as the expressions involved too. And then, of course, your colors. So, it can be cohesive with the rest of your other brand assets that you have available. So if you do have a palette that you've been working on or kind of experimenting with, this is going to be really great to share and to also mention as well when you do talk to your photographer too, to see where you can incorporate this. It doesn't necessarily always need to be reflected in your clothing all the time, but perhaps there are props and other elements that you can incorporate to bring this element to life a little bit further. And so moving forward to figuring out the logistics. So say you've figured out, narrowed down anyways, at least the photographer that you would like to work with. Here are some helpful tips in terms of being able to make the process run a lot more smoothly. And I'll mention too that having a photographer that knows their stuff as well will be able to help you with a lot of these key components too. So with this being said, I would say with any creative that you reach out to, photography fees may vary in terms of varying expertise, how long your shoot may be, if you need something that is more of a 1 hour perhaps, or a half hour, just like quick headshots for a few, or if it's a full day shoot that you want to create a whole library of content to be able to use for your marketing collateral, that may vary, as well as your deliverables included. So perhaps if you are looking for both digital and high-res versions that you can print on much larger formats, these are file formats that you might want to look into, as well as, when you're reviewing their portfolio piece as well. How many years of experience they have had in the industry may be very varying in terms of the fees that are applied. And then credibility, if they have worked with different publications, perhaps other folks in the space that you also really respect, then that might be some other levels of varying. But in terms of what you can maybe expect as well, just to give you some ranges and tiers, of course, it will vary amongst other photographers out there, but to give you a range and set here, if you expect around 300 to 500, you can get some key core headshots involved as well. So this way you have a little bit more variety beyond the one and have to work with. So I would encourage you, if you do end up having a few headshots, to have some varying angles perhaps, or also a few different expressions that you can use for a variety of situations. So perhaps something a little bit more casual for one, a little bit more serious for another, at least to have some contrasting applications that you can use them for. And then a mid-tier one, you may be looking at 500 to 1,000 for headshots and some lifestyle shots. So, this way, again, you can add some variety in terms of more like headshot torso up type applications to more full body, like in scene, I'll call it, whether it's like working at your desk, holding a book, something to that effect, but more lifestyle oriented shots that feel a bit more organic and plays into that personality piece that we talked about earlier. And then if you look at around 2,000 to 5,000, perhaps you could get something like a full day shoot. So this way you're able to build out a whole suite of brand photography for your library. So I would say if you do end up wanting to launch like marketing campaigns, like having things for your newsletter, social media, and other varied platforms, this may be something that you want to look into as you continue to grow and evolve. So some planning logistics here, you'll want to be able to decide on how you actually want the images to be used in advance of booking your session, ideally. And so being able to define the purposes of what you're actually going to use it for. So say your primary use is that you want to have it for the website, then this is going to be really great to keep in mind. So perhaps like with this in place, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is perhaps you want to make sure that there are a lot of horizontal applications for certain parts of the website to help break up certain sections, or perhaps you want something a little bit more vertical based as well for your about page. These are all considerations that you might want to have in place when you are planning ahead, and then determine that overall tone, style, aesthetic of your vision. So being able to do that vision boarding throughout the program is going to be really helpful to get very clear on, to be able to articulate that to somebody else to help co-create that vision for you through the photography. And then start thinking about positioning and specific use cases as well. So if you do end up wanting to repurpose and expand it into some email marketing campaigns, or your even email signatures actually would be a really great use for them also, then you're going to want to consider a few of these options. Then a second piece as you're planning is to figure out what budget you feel comfortable with this at each stage as well. So based on your specific needs, is it that you just need to get a few headshots right now to get things up and running? Is it that you would love to aspire for, a full day shoot in the future? These are kind of some varying tiers that you're going to want to think about. And then when you do hire your photographer as well, make sure to check the small print in the contracts of what's included. So these are some questions that you could definitely ask along the way here too. It's like, how many images and will you be delivered or expect to receive? Will they be included in full color and black and white? These are all things that may help you save a step as well. What the resolution quality may be. So even thinking about, for example, if your purpose is just to have them for only web or digital uses, then you'll only need the resolution quality technically to be at about 72 or 96 DPI at most also, versus something if you want it in print or a little bit larger in format, especially too, you'll want it at 300 DPI for the resolution. And then locations. So specifically, if you want something a little bit more lifestyle oriented, perhaps you want to shoot on location outdoors. Mind you, it is winter, so I acknowledge that too, but stay warm and cozy. Or if you prefer something a little bit more indoor of a setting and evergreen, perhaps you have like an office space or a studio that you could book out additionally. So these are things that you might want to consider, and then how many locations may be included in that particular package that they're offering. And then at least if you are working with one location, as an example, looking at different ways to keep things fresh and switch it up through having some varying outfits or, changes as well. That will help keep things varied in the process, and a lower budget perhaps too, which would help. And then if there are any other hidden fees that are not included, so sometimes you may need to ask the photographer if the studio booking is under your own responsibility or if that is covered under them as booking the package. So just all things to make sure is transparent for you when you are booking that, to look out for, and then be able to identify if you do have any props or styling accessories that you might want to add or need to purchase ahead of time. So again, like you can, use other elements like mugs, notebooks, etc. That might be in your brand colors to add some of these accents and bring it to life a little bit further without having to feel like you need to wear, your color all the time on your body. This is a nice way to incorporate that in a natural way, and be able to schedule a timeline of when you can expect to shoot things actually, so that you can, look out and purchase these props if needed, or source them. And then how long will it take to actually edit and have that post-production time from the photographer to know when to receive those deliverables as well, so that you can implement and back reverse engineer for if you are building out that website. So this is something that I would say is like an extra step further. It is something that maybe your photographer would help incorporate, but I think it's always nice for you to keep in mind, again, coming back to the purpose and intention of your particular photography. This will be nice to kind of keep in mind as well, is a shot list. So this is essentially kind of like a checklist of the particular shots that you would like to have as well. So be able to identify any key images based on use and purpose that you have. So whether it is those traditional headshots that you want for profile photos, lifestyle oriented shots like full body shots for your website or other marketing purposes. I think the nice thing about the full body shots, especially as well, is that you can actually crop them closer if needed, if they are the right resolution in place. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility to be able to work with as well. So I do encourage you, again, look at that purpose and variety in place, but also to organize your shots for efficiency. So if you are very condensed for time as part of the photographer's package, consider location and outfit changes to keep things varied and looking fresh so that they don't feel all the same necessarily. So again, really leaning into that variety. And then give your photographer a proposed timeline as well. If they haven't given you one, then I would say this way, looking at a few weeks, 2 to 4 weeks at least to get photos back, depending on what their capacity and deliverables look like for them. And then make sure to research and practice poses. I know for me, myself too, it doesn't come naturally to pose quite, as such, but this way, perhaps check out Pinterest for inspiration. Think again if you would like something more natural, organic of a feel versus something very posed and structured. These are going to have very different aesthetics to it. And typically, I find too that if you kind of give your photographer a heads up, they're usually pretty kind to help recommend some poses or adjustments as needed also. And then sometimes I actually like to save them on my phone, just so when you are on shoot and you need some like a jolt of fresh ideas, then you can kind of refer back to a few photos also. But otherwise, prepare some of your outfits in advance. So incorporating some of those brand colors, accessibility, mobility, how is it, are you going to feel comfortable in it equally as much too? Because I think that's going to come out in your photos of how you feel in the process too. And then in terms of those hidden fees, again, just be aware of any sort of permits that might be required. So typically if it's at studios or if you are shooting at like a heritage type location, these are some things to think about when you are looking for specific areas. And so the last piece here too is like where to actually place these photos. So now that you have a library built out, you've worked with your photographer, what do you actually do with them and where should you put them? So image placement is going to be really key to making sure that the overall flow and user experience leans into this piece as well for your website, especially. And so considering that layout and overall flow, making sure that you have that chosen template or design to help support this key component will be really helpful to be able to also see visually where that image orientation is going to look best in regards to complementing your content and messaging. But it's also going to be a really big piece in terms of that storytelling so that it not only complements what you've written, but really helps to hero and bring that to life too. And so with that, it's going to help elevate your brand messaging and your core values, really leaning into those characteristic traits that we talked about too, helping embody that right off the bat and perhaps break up some areas too that may have had a lot more areas of text that can feel overwhelming for readers, then it's going to be a really nice opportunity to help to insert that. But it's going to also help you increase some consistency across your marketing platform. So something that I do recommend for clients too is, for example, if you have the same headshot across your LinkedIn to your website to other social media channels that you have on there, then it's going to build in that brand awareness and familiarity in place so that when people look for you on different platforms, it's going to be like quick to identify and build in that brand credibility right off the bat too, with that consistency in place. Another thing that you'll want to think about is image size and quality. So when you do get these photos back from your photographer, also consider if they are lower resolution, which is great for digital and web, then it's going to help to optimize your SEO in the process, but also keep your media library on your website much smaller with faster website loading speeds. So overall better user experience, and then be able to resize it smaller if needed or compressing the sizes of the files so that it just helps to boost that a little bit further too. And then because of the variety that you now have with the photo shoot as well, it's going to help to ensure that there isn't any unwanted or unnecessary repetition in place by having that one photo before, for example, to default to. So this way you have a little bit more variety to play with from the homepage to your about, and then we'll explore some other areas to be able to incorporate these into as well. So example one here that I want to go through, your primary real estate is going to be your homepage opening banner. So this way, if you are the face of your brand, especially and working directly with your clients, this is really going to help establish that welcoming tone right off the bat and leave that memorable first impression that we talked about. So it's going to really build in that humanization of your personal brand, but also build that instant connection right off the bat. So you'll see a few examples here as well. If you do kind of like have a torso upshot or a full body in the sense, but I would say really focusing in on the expression and your face in particular will help really encourage that sense of connection and approachability right off the top as well. So this way it helps to complement that sort of trust and feel to it, but also still helps to hero the messaging that you have right off the top. And then as you'll see too, really clear call to actions right off the top, just to take advantage of that prime real estate area. So another key area here is the About Me page. So this section is really going to help provide more of that insight of your background, your interests, more of that personality. So you can be a little bit more liberal and creative, perhaps on the About Me page as well. But it's a really great area to add a mix of professional headshots and photos to showcase different aspects of who you are and your background of what you represent also. So you see this example of Sophie here, really clear shot as well, very inviting. It's very friendly and approachable. I think I saw Megan on this as well. So really great example to showcase too. It feels really light, live, really vibrant. So it gives you this sense of, you know, their personality in place and really encourages you to reach out and want to learn more about you in the process. Yeah, of course, Megan, great job. And then a third example here too is something that we don't see often, but it could be another consideration for you if you feel like you've got some great options now and you want to leave a nice lasting impression. Another area may be for your contact page specifically too. So consider including a friendly photo on your contact page to help these website visitors feel more comfortable to reach you. So similar to that same feel for the About page, it really helps to encourage that approachability in place and that sense of connection and trust when they are taking that next step, ideally as well. So these are some other great examples. Another Prospology member here as well from JR Medical Writing. And so this way it just adds a sense of, yeah, connection right off the top so that they don't feel like they're just submitting to, you know, another bot or another form in a sense. It really helps to help like have a sense of standing out. And then a fourth piece here that I'll leave you with is with social media links too. So if you do have a social media preference platform, then maybe consider integrating visuals from your social media into your website using these widgets or integrations that you have on your website platform. They're usually very easy to integrate and can sync them up based on your account login. But this leaves a really seamless visual connection between your website and your social media presence as well. And adds like another layer of almost like portfolio in terms of being able to position yourself as that thought leader or you know, as an authority in that space to strengthen your brand in the process too, and kind of helps to humanize this piece because a lot of the other parts of your website may feel much more structured and quote unquote like traditional professional in a sense. This adds another layer of that personality in place, but also education if you are sharing on your social media channels of where they can learn a little bit more about you if they aren't quite ready to reach out quite yet on your website. This gives them another opportunity to do so.